Kristen Gallagher.
Hey guys, I just want to warn you that this is my favorite pair of pants, but the fly keeps coming undone. So just be aware that I know and you know. You want to zoom in. It's like it's up right now, but I just want you to know it's there. So we can start now. Okay, so I want to tell you some stories, and I'm going to tell you 3. And our first one starts with Sarah. Sarah went to first grade this morning. She was a little bit hungry, but she got lunch at 11. And they gave her some canned peaches and some pizza. She ate a little bit of it, and she threw the rest in the trash can. Our next story, Paul and Cindy. Paul comes home from work a little bit late. Cindy's really busy. She's getting the kids to eat their dinner, their homework. Paul pulls out a pre-cooked package of pasta, you know, that buitoni kind, but there's already a bowl of pasta in his fridge. He slams the door on the fridge. Our third story, Will. Will is a farmer down in Georgia, and he's had a really good crop, but he didn't have a full labor force, actually. His crop went unharvested. It was left to rot in the fields because it was too expensive to pay legal workers. There weren't any gleaners interested in getting out in the sun to pick up the rest. So why are these stories important on both micro and macro levels? These stories shouldn't matter to us only because waste is unethical or because it's financially irresponsible. They should matter to us because they affect all of us. So what then are the real issues at hand here? Let's start with the micro, what happens at our own houses. We buy pretty food, hoping to make our food blogs hit the top 10. We generally have several pounds of food lining our fridges, and we don't always know what to do with it. And we push it to the back, and we buy some more food. We take out a soggy head of brown lettuce. I do that all the time. So if we don't let it rot, what happens? Sometimes we cook delicious, very nutritious meals. Then we don't finish it all. We scrape the rest of it off into the trash. If it doesn't meet that fate, we'll say it goes for leftovers, but we rarely finish it. Sometimes the eggplant parm that was so great the first time really isn't that great for lunch. What does our extra food mean to us? In many cases, it can mean that there wasn't enough for someone else, and really someone else turns into 14.5% of American homes. Now, we can't ship our leftovers to some third world country or even down the street. That leads me to the bigger problem of waste. See, we buy a lot of food, right? It may not always seem this way, but food's actually really cheap. Food is so cheap that it actually doesn't matter in our budgets if we let that gallon of milk spoil. It's just so cheap that Americans only spend 10% of their income on food. In 2009, it was 5%. Because food is cheap, there isn't always an incentive to harvest what's extra, because we continue to grow more than what's needed. We can be picky. We can have the best. We can leave the slightly imperfect crops in the fields left to rot. On top of that, many states don't have the workforce anymore, aka migrant workers, to harvest that crop, so it gets left. We seem to gravitate toward the easiest things in life. Perhaps that's why this crustless sandwich thing was invented. As a culture, we don't want to deal with waste. We don't want to deal with what we don't want. We just fill it up with landfills, and that means billions of dollars in taxpayer money every year. Instead of going about our lives forgetting that there are hundreds of thousands of people, food insecure, to use the USDA term, that live near us, down our street, we could start to look at why we waste and how we could stop it. With that said, let's look at some of the bigger reasons we should stop our waste. By bigger, I mean really big. You've probably heard stories about subsidies and feedlots and how horrible those are. But maybe what you haven't thought about or what you haven't heard is why those big things cause waste. Why our continuing to demand more food causes waste. Big demand means big waste, mostly because of those micro-level problems we talked about. So why should we stop demanding more, stop demanding perfect, stop demanding big? Who has children? Think about your children. Think about that for a second. The fact that we buy and demand so much means for them that our system is unsustainable and that eventually it will break down and we will not have as much food and it won't be quality food. So what can we do about this problem? We don't need to reinvent the wheel. We just need to look around at what's already being done. We have Central Kitchen, Second Harvest, Interfaith Food Shuttle. We have chefs who commit to serving smaller portions and reusing their scraps. We have people who write books about the topic. We have small farmers who allow gleaners to come and try to take what's left. We have programs to help people eat healthy eating. By extension, that means less waste. So we're not reinventing the wheel, we're just making it turn a little bit better. But what can we as individuals do to stop waste? This is one of my favorite posters ever. I don't think I've ever heard any more true words. It hangs in my kitchen. My friends make fun of it sometimes, but it's true. Think about what you buy. Cook it properly. Think about where your meat comes from. Buy regionally. Be mindful of who picked your food. Serve what you need to be nourished. Use up what you don't use, eat it the next time. Finally, don't waste what you buy. Some of us don't realize how much of our paycheck goes in the trash every time we eat or we don't eat what we bought. Not wasting in our own homes can have both a local and a global ripple effect. Our grocery stores might feel the push to stop chucking slightly imperfect or sell-by-date past food, which you can still eat, by the way. Our farmers might not have to leave extra in their fields because it was all harvested the first time because they only grew what we needed to eat. Our other countries around the world might not feel their economies crumble because we continue to export our extra to them. So finally, I'm really asking you to talk about it. I'm really asking you to have a table discussion with your family, with your friends, when you're out at the restaurants eating a really nice meal. I will warn you, you could be really annoying. I'm irritating to take to, don't take me out to dinner. So my goal is to bring people together so we can talk about this. How is it hurting us? How can it be stopped? In fact, I really do think we should have a roundtable talk. Let's talk about waste. Let's talk about why. Let's make sure that from now on, we're having no more waste. Thank you.